What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sellout Crowd podcast. It's powered by Keller Williams Sports Entertainment. I am your co-host and co-director of KWSE, Jason Ross, and I'm here with my guy and my co-host of this podcast, Mr. Paul Scott.
What is up, you guys? Coming to you from the Nashville side of things, and we are excited to get this show kicked off, kicking into some fun, talking about all things sports, real estate, and entertainment all in one place for everybody. So, Jason, what do we got here going on today, man? What's happening down there in Florida? Tell me what you got going on.
Well, us Floridians are all freezing. We're outside in winter coats. It is officially 58 in the morning. I have this t-shirt on. However, I do have my bubble goose out there because it's so cold. So, oddly enough, I'm very tan for this time of year. It's only March, but I am tan for this time of year. You can't tell it because of the lighting in here, but it's pretty bad. It was like 75 last week. We were having a great time, and then it dropped to 50. I know you in Nashville feel terribly sorry for me. You're just probably really worried.
I know, just so sorry. Man, we've had one of those crazy winters that it's just been, we had 77 last week and 37 this morning. So that's just, our saying here in Nashville is if you don't like the weather today, just wait till tomorrow. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Well, let's kick it off into some headlines here, man. I mean, there is so much going on that, in real estate, we get the wonderful pleasure of getting to deal with the athletes and entertainers as seasons are changing and tours are getting ready. They're heating up. People are rehearsing for their tours. A buddy of mine was just talking to me about his lighting show that he's programming for Megan Maroney, one of the hottest stars going to be out there this week. That's all happening here. But then obviously we've got the NBA in their playoff picture, NFL's trades all over the place, having all kinds of fun.
He's had the combine.
That's right. Combine. That was some interesting things going on there. I brought my Washington Commanders cup here. Yes, I live in Nashville, but I'm still a Commanders fan. And we got Deebo Samuel. So, I was pretty excited about that trade. And then you being a Bengals fan out there, what is going on with Hendrickson? I mean, Trey could end up anywhere.
I know. I tell you what, being 47, almost 48 years old, I was 11 years old before my man Joe Burrow took us down. And then it was just like I was like, that was our shot, and now it's like, come on, we have the team, like, just let us keep a little bit longer. So, I don't know, man, fingers crossed. We gotta, I just want to see one in my lifetime, man. Just one time.
I know we got to get there. The last time the Bengals, I think, were in a Super Bowl, they had completely different uniforms to begin with.
It was 1988. I was 11.
88.
I was 11. The Icky Shuffle, Welcome to the Jungle. I was 11. And in that Super Bowl, we were doing really good. And oddly enough, it was a defense game. And we had a guy, Tim Crumry, and out of maybe the third quarter, snapped his leg. I mean, I was an 11-year-old kid. I just remember doing this on TV, and I was like,
Joe Theismann had one of those.
That was it.
Alex Smith had one of those. We've had some history with the Washington teams as well, with good old legs snapping happening.
That's back when they showed the replay too. Like they were, they
would show the replay over and over and over. You're not going to.
I remember it now, dude. Like I remember seeing it now. I'm like, yikes! And dude, we were against Joe Montana. So I mean, at the end of the day, like. You need everything against Joe Montana.
All the weapons. Still the GOAT in my mind. I still love Tom Brady, but Joe Montana is still probably always going to be.
I mean, also, man, what a classic American football name. Both of them, really. But Joe Montana, like, well, come on.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, man, totally. Well, it's funny. Along with that, a lot of my guys that I work with are having to make changes in where they're located. One of my good buddies grew up from elementary school with him. He was with the Bears as a wide receivers coach last year, Chargers the year before that, and then ended up just 2 weeks ago while you and I were actually out in Vegas. I had no idea. We were out there for the Keller Williams big family reunion event. Yep. He was actually just coming out there to join the Raiders out there. So we've got guys shifting all over the country trying to make moves and figure out what they're going to call home. And one of the cool things about the agents that you and I work with is we get to help all the folks with that.
That's right. That's right.
We're fortunate enough to be in that industry, to be part of, their go-to guys, much like teams will have their go-to players and go-to coaches. We're the go-to agents for helping those people move in and around the country. And it's pretty cool. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we got one of those go-to agents with us today. Is that right?
The goat too.
The goat too. Well, all
Goat
right.
two.
Let's get a little backstage action here with Miss Theresa. Hey, we're bringing her up on
Pavone
the
in the
stage.
building.
There he is.
Hey guys.
What's up, Theresa Pavone? How's it going today?
Oh, it's going fabulous in Charlotte, North Carolina. How
Yeah,
are we
so-
in
Charlotte, North
sunny
Carolina.
Florida and Tennessee?
We're kind of like a little like backbone of the east side of America on this call today.
Yeah, right. We've kind of got
You
that
know?
all in the same place. But I'm going to introduce people real quick to your website here, and this is where they can find the one-stop shop of everything in Charlotte, Hilton Head, all that sort of stuff, right? We're at Carolina's Luxury X. Make sure you get all those letters in there, and we'll pop that down in the chat or somewhere where this is. But for those of you who are listening only out there, that's Carolina's. That's an S on the end of Carolina. Carolina's LuxuryX.com. That's where you can find Theresa Pavone. And this is a slick looking website. You got your double G on. I mean, there's lots of cool stuff on this website that we can go ahead and learn more about your neighborhoods. But, we want to find out more from you. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what are you seeing? We talked about relocation with athletes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're seeing going on in the Carolinas right now?
Well, we have a lot of kind of movement in our teams right now. So there's going to be a lot
Oh,
of, a lot of athletes kind of come. Sometimes they don't want to buy, right? So we kind of want to help them get in rentals. And then hopefully after their contract, they will want to purchase a house. But we kind of, I help them do it all. It's a good time to buy rent right now in Carolina. And
Rent.
also,
Okay.
yeah, why not? Sometimes these
Yeah.
guys only stay a year. So they don't
Really?
want to
Well,
buy,
you
and they
know,
have houses elsewhere.
knowing, one of the most important things we talk about is, we have this network, it's one of our pillars in Keller Williams Sports Entertainment, which and
Mhm.
helping these folks find short-term housing. It's a huge deal because sometimes you don't. And the thing is, sometimes you're not going to be there, or you don't know how long you're going to be there, right? So you've been really good at that. You've helped some purchase, you've helped some just stay the time that they needed to. So in helping some of these folks, any kind of crazy stuff ever happen or funny story you want to tell us about that you could recall from helping one of these athletes while they were staying there for a while?
Oh, okay, yeah. I actually, so it was a rental, and I was actually this guy's emergency contact. So I was like on, if anything happened,
As you
like
should be.
he called me. And I was actually in Hilton Head, selling some houses down there, and I get a call, and he says, "Hey, Theresa, I left my keys. I can't get in my house." And I'm like, "Well, just use the front door." And he's like, "No, I left my keys in Texas." So I said, "Okay, what about the garage?" And he's like, "I don't have the garage door opener. That's the thing. Like, that was in my bag." And I said, "Okay, do we have, let's try to see if there's a code," but there wasn't a code. So I said, "Well, just go ahead and pop the garage." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Have you not ever broken into a garage before?" And he was like, "No, I haven't." So I sent him a video on how to do that because I wasn't down the road. He lived pretty close to me. Because I was in Hilton Head, and I sent him the video, and he's like, "This doesn't look like it." So I had to call and get a locksmith out there. But yeah, like the phone calls, he didn't know how to break into a garage, and I was trying to help him out.
So you're helping people break into homes,
I was
not
gonna say,
only
well, at
buy
least
them
we
and
know that
sell them and
you know.
invest,
That's
you're
not
helping
totally
them break
wrong.
into their own homes.
sent
This is
him, like,
fantastic.
the
We
lease,
know
so,
that
like,
Theresa knows how to do it, at least.
Yeah,
Right.
she
I
sounded
do,
like
I
a
do.
pro when she was discussing that.
Oddly
I know.
enough, like
Well,
crime has
before I
risen in
told him
Theresa's clients' neighborhoods for some reason. We don't understand. We don't know
I'm gonna
what
go back to
happened,
that
folks.
website and look up the crime rates and
Yeah,
right around
exactly.
and
How many
yeah,
houses have been broken into in this neighborhood? Oh,
that's
just this
right.
My
one.
neighborhood's
Just
like an
this
A+, okay? My town's A+. We're
It's
like,
all the
no crime.
garage doors. And
But
also,
it's
I
funny
had
you
a
say that because I'd sent him like a screenshot of the lease to make sure, like, if we did get any calls, like he could be like, "Hey, listen, like this is my house."
yes,
That is
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. And my emergency contact told me to do this.
Right.
To me, this sounds like a penalty calling a flag on the play here. I don't know that is,
Or it's like, "Hey,
acceptable.
Teresa, we just got on the road. I don't remember if I put my garage door down." No problem, dude.
Gotcha.
I'll go do a drive-by
Well, even if
because
it isn't, I'll open it and then I'll put it back down just to make sure. Also, I want to tell you, since you got the flag on the play today and I didn't, because every day we wake up and we have a choice, right? And I woke up today and I made a choice to not refer to Hilton Head as Myrtle Beach. So I just want to let you know that I remember
appreciate
today.
that because I was
Wait, they're
prepared
not
for
the
you
same
to
thing?
call it Myrtle Beach.
Right, folks.
And I was gonna say, dude, how long have we known each other?
Right. Teresa is a good friend of ours. And for some reason, I just can't get Myrtle Beach out of my mind. And, it seems to be a common problem with folks, but Hilton Head is really where it's at. And, something else about Hilton Head, there's a lot of short-term rental options and opportunities there, right? So I think one of the things that's interesting about you from the real estate perspective in sports entertainment and just in general is you do a lot of primary residences, but you also do a lot of short-term rentals. So tell us a little bit about the market in both Charlotte and in Hilton Head, a little bit about, short-term rentals, primaries, like what's a good investment mindset for people coming into that area?
Well, both markets are good for short-term rentals. So there's a lot of Airbnbs, a lot of VRBOs. Hilton Head, is a tourist destination. So people go there, year over year. There are tons of condos, single-family residents that have amazing ROIs. They basically pay for themselves. So investment-wise, you can't go wrong with the island. And a lot of people are just investing in Hilton Head, and that's kind of where I do most of my business is on the investment side there. Charlotte, it's growing, and a lot of people are loving coming to visit here. They also like to do the short-term rentals. Even speaking of the athletes, they're also jumping on these Airbnbs to one, stay in if they're not going to be here that long, or if they want to come in vacation and spend the summer. I do that too.
So I think what's interesting. No, go ahead, Jason.
No, go ahead, Paul. Go ahead. You're
I was
right
gonna
on.
say, like, I think that's really cool, but like, what a lot of people might wonder is how in the world. Okay, it's cool you say you work with athletes, but how in the world do you get into that? And in the Carolinas, I guess you guys have the Panthers, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. That's
And the
do they
Hornets, we have
and
basketball
the
too.
Hornets,
Mhm.
good basketball. I was kind of trying to be funny about the Panthers because we kind of forgot that you guys had them because the record's not been real good the last.
Also, let me tell you
Shut your face. We're coming back for this year. We're coming back.
another
It's been since
Hilton Head
Cam
problem I
Newton.
have. I always call them the Charlotte Panthers.
The Charlotte Panthers.
And my friendly co-director of KSE, my partner Jordan Stewart, likes to always remind me right on the phone in front of whoever it is, it's the Carolina Panthers. So I won't do that
You
again.
guys get they get a whole state for the. It's like we're the Tennessee Titans and Carolina Panthers, where so many other places are by the city, so it can get confusing. But I want to thank you guys for sending Jeremy Chin to the Washington Commanders because he's been awesome. So anyway, no, seriously,
Frankie too.
what's up?
And you got Frankie too.
Oh, Frankie Louvu's a beast. He just gets a little hyped on trying to stop that tush push up in Philly, but that was one of the most fun things that I've seen in a championship game in a while. You could tell that guy is just willing to fly. It reminds me of some of our older listeners may remember Troy Polamalu out there just flying all around. He's like the modern Polamalu, you know.
Paul,
So
can you define older?
I mean, anyone over the age of 38. Let's put that.
That was my young days when I was a
Young days.
young lad. I know. It's
Yeah.
all right.
I mean,
Everybody and
I'm
everyone
only
I know.
39, so you know it's good. But
I know,
anyway,
Paul. You and I got like. Well, I think. Do you color your beard or are you?
oh, 100%. Before I got on here, I got my Just for Men pen out. They make the pen now. You can actually color in which grays you want to. You can get real specific.
I have a gray patch right here, and I do the same thing.
I tried to use it on my head, but it didn't show up for some reason.
It did a lot. It like
I think I got the clear pen and it
the wrong
worked
color
really well.
You got the invisible pen going there.
Yeah.
I am
So,
I like
Theresa,
to tell people I'm the bearded Caillou. So you know, that's for those of you that watch children's shows. I have 4 kids, so I get to see them all. But yeah, how do you get into working with an athlete? Tell us about that. That sounds pretty cool. Jason, I know a thing or two about it, but I would love for you to share your experience.
Pretty amazing. I'm grateful for all the opportunities. So it started with being accepted and part of Keller Williams Sports Entertainment. And I'm also part of Next Move. And it kind of just started with a relationship. One athlete led to another. And then, you know, they were just like, Theresa, we F with you. And I'm like, woo. And then they started passing my name around. And, you know, just friends, maybe not other athletes right at first, but, you know, when I am helping friends of athletes, that really kind of shows how they do trust me. So it's really about trust and, you know, having the relationship with them, because they're only going to deal with people that they like and that they do trust, because these are big purchases.
So how do you said build that trust? Give me an example of, like, you know, I think we have like a lot of our listeners on here are going to be agents. Some of them are already part of our Keller Williams Sports Entertainment network, and some of them may have gotten in but never taken that step to working with an athlete or an entertainer in there. And so we understand it's important to have that trust, but how do we build that trust? Well, like, give an example of that.
I think, well, my biggest, like, my advice is just to
that doesn't involve telling them to break into their own house.
Oh yeah, that comes later.
Right there. She trusted that you weren't going to come back and do that later, so that's good.
Oh my gosh, no! Do not break into
let's
other
keep this legal stuff that you do. That you.
I've only got one flag on the play thing to throw today. I don't have any more segments for that.
I can't get any more flags. Okay,
we're gonna have to figure out some other segments to create for, like,
red cards.
Red card. Yeah,
there you go.
Okay, so I definitely would advise to just be yourself. I think that, you know, when I first meet an athlete, I am who I am. My personality is, you know, goes a long way, and I don't kind of just freak out because they're, you know, famous. I treat them like real people, and I think they really respect that. Building trust, I just kind of show my value as their agent. When they ask questions on locations or price points or what they're looking for, I give them my honest opinion, and I kind of help them, you know, make the right decision, the best decision for them and their family.
Got it. That sounds awesome. You know, Jason, you know, when you're talking with an athlete or an entertainer and that sort of thing and building that trust into that, like, I mean, I think organic, you know, is an overused word maybe out there today, but that's really what it's about. You know, you're not out there asking for autographs or favors up front and fangirling over stuff.
Like, I don't even have with all the ones that I've worked with, I've never asked for like a picture, right? Like, they're like, or I've never asked for like, oh, let me get tickets. Like, I would never do that. I've been offered, and you know, if they say like, hey, come to the game, I'll be like, heck yeah, I'm there. But I would never ask for anything. I don't ask for photographs, or or anything like that. Really fast, I just thought of something to show value. One thing that they really like is finding off-market deals. So that kind of shows the trust that like you really are kind of I like going out of my way to try to find something if they want something so specific that I can go and look like find that.
Yeah, no, totally. I
So
like that.
Teresa too. I wanted to ask you too, because again, we want to build value for everyone watching it, and so one of the things that we've all seen working, and what's great about all of us collectively, right, is we all have our journeys, and a lot of the people that we meet in KWSC, agent wise, or all of us that are our clients that we work with, right. Um, a lot of times they just like to be treated like they're people, because
Mhm.
when they're on the field, they're in some degree they're spectacles, right? Like we have people, and I had this conversation. I used to have a friend of mine who was an NBA guy. He lived here in Orlando, played for several different teams. At the time, he was playing for Boston, and it was funny because we would hang out, and like he couldn't swim very well, and I would clown him like I would somewhere else, and he like we sat back one day and we laughed, and he said, "You know why I like you?" He's like, it's kind of ballsy that you like made fun of me. He's like, people won't ever do that, and he's like, that's how I know they're fake. And he was like, that's why I liked you, because when you were like joking and laughing and making fun of me about it, it was like this dude just treated me like one of my boys or one of my friends, and that was a huge deal to him, because when they're out playing, they meet people, and everyone's just like, hey, yes, sir, here you go, sir. And so when you're hanging out with some of these, because I know there's a guy specifically, and part of what we do is privacy and discretion, so we're not name dropping here, right? So tell us, just, we're going to wrap up here, but before we do, I know you have some great interactions with someone, with a player that you've helped out a lot. How do you find yourself just treating him like that, like not showing him like, hey man, I think of you like anybody else, and I want to give you that same courtesy and respect that I would to my friend who isn't in the NFL or whatever? Can you tell us a little bit about that kind of thing? Like, how do you make them feel comfortable?
It's kind of like they're my friends now. Like who you're speaking of, like I look at them like they're my family. I'm friends with his wife. I One other thing that I learned early on is you don't want to ask about their job, right? Like, yeah, they play football and they do amazing things, and this is like their job. Even though I'm so curious, like, hey, like, what's it like in the locker room, or what do you guys talk about, or just stuff like that. Just I don't bring it up. Like I talk about regular stuff, like normal people stuff. Um, and we've just gotten to know each other really well, and we talk about like with his wife and like their past, like their what they've done before, and kind of like what they're looking for, some experiences they went through. I mean, it was just kind of like getting to know, like they're like truly friends. And I'm literally like the go-to for anything. So if they're starting to look for investments or commercial properties, other short-term rentals in other cities, right? Like it's like, hey, Teresa, who do you know in Dallas, or who do you know in I need to sell my house in Florida. Like, who do you know? So it's just kind of being that go-to person. So anything real estate related, these folks, like whether it's going to be like something I'm like, listen, I got to stay in my lane, right? That's residential. Told them this, like, hey, I can dabble in commercial, and that's what I'm doing, and I'll pull in help when I need to, but they trust me. So I'm going to be their go-to every single time. I mean, even
You know,
asking me to run some comps for a house in Texas, I was like, okay, so I can only pull so much information. But the funny part is like I nailed it. like dead
right.
on. I was like between 3 to 320. It was like an Airbnb, and they listed for 310. So I was like pretty impressed with myself there.
I would
Something
say,
that's sort
sometimes I'm gonna just throw this in real quick that when we say we're experts in real estate, we are experts in really not only just negotiations, but with the real estate, and we're experts in the area. But that doesn't mean that we don't have to be experts in research as well. And a
right.
lot of times,
Mhm.
just the research of finding that. I'm not going to tell everybody that I know everything about real estate. I don't. I know a lot about it, and I can be, that word expert just gets thrown around so often. I think it's way more important to be an expert in the relationship building that you have with people, and we'll figure out the research to get you what you want. And that's what it sounds like you really did. You bridged that gap. You treated them like, normal people. And something that they're not used to all the time, and then you provided the service from a relational point of view and kind of put all those things together. That's awesome.
Yeah, and we're getting close to the end of the show here, and one of the things that you just said, and I think is super important for anyone watching interested in working with folks in KWSC or working with you or working with any of us, right? It's like, you aren't an expert in commercial. And the minute you start trying to do that, you might mess up a relationship, right? You also, you don't live in Texas, right? So the thing that's great about KWSC is we have a trusted network everywhere around the country. You both have, and and myself included, have referral partners everywhere, right? I mean, just look right here.
Everywhere.
Who would I call in Nashville? Who would I call in the Carolinas? And in addition to you guys, if you're not the right fit for a client, then I call somebody else in those areas. But because we adhere to our 4 pillars, and because we have that national network, you can make a call and get your client that information in that area as accurately as possible without trying to step out of your lane and then making a mistake, which could ultimately cost you that client.
Exactly. And talk about being experts in the area. We got to know lots of what's going on around. And I have some. Sorry, this just in. Did you know that Opry Entertainment Group, which is Opry Entertainment Group Nashville, just bought Southern Entertainment in Charlotte? So you're going to see bigger festivals, bigger acts, and a whole new energy in Charlotte because the Opry just bought Southern Entertainment. Sorry,
way bigger garages to break into. I mean, you're talking huge.
You and I are going to have a lot more stuff to talk about here because it sounds like we're going to have a whole lot of Nashville coming to Charlotte that just came in. I couldn't let the show go by without that happening. Well, Theresa, thank you so much.
Tutorial on the garages.
Well, I was going to say, warn them, Paul. Warn them now. We don't want the Opry to go down like that.
That's going to be the next breaking news. Opry in Charlotte, just broken into by real estate agent. Right?
Yeah. All the stuff missing from the Opry guards.
Please say one more thing.
Okay. The other big thing with working with agents is the budget is the budget. When they start saying they want to see something 5 million plus, and you need to stick with that. And if we do look at anything bigger, you need to talk to their financial advisor to make sure they are okay with that purchase.
Yes. For everybody watching, if you're a KWSC agent, you better know your 4 pillars. And if you aren't, and you're just watching and you're interested in making the right moves here, you should learn our 4 pillars.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to throw some cheat codes out to everybody who listens to this show, no matter where you do your real estate. If you're looking for cheat codes for working with sports and entertainment, we're going to be that new hub. The whole reason behind Sellout Crowd as a title, we've waited 28 minutes to get to this point to say it, is that we're not selling out, but we work with the people that sell out crowds in stadiums and venues and all of that sort of stuff. And then we help them sell out on their real estate in a good way that puts money in their pockets, wise investments, but respects who they are within what they do. And we thank you, Theresa, for being our crowd and for working with the people that, are selling out the crowds and all of those things. So once again, let's give it up for Miss Theresa Pavone.
Thank you for sharing all of your knowledge with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to see your faces.
You have been awesome. Jason, man, that was pretty cool. What did you think about having Theresa on today?
I mean, Theresa just oozes like awesome. She's got Riz, as the kids say these days, right? She's such a sweet lady, so genuine too. Something I really love about, I'm a big fan. I deal with a lot of people every day, and I've got to the point where I recognize genuine people, and it's always such a pleasure to spend time with them as opposed to the other folks that you may spend time with that aren't as much like that. So, and one last thing I'd like to just throw out, because we've talked about it, the KWSE 4 pillars, right? Our number one pillar is discretion and privacy. That's number one. You have work with any of our agents, privacy and discretion. Number two is we stay in our lane. We talk specifically about real estate and how to utilize, maximize the potential of that. We, as Theresa actually stated, which I love, the budget is the budget. If you bring somebody to us and say this is what they have to spend per month, or this is what their budget is, we don't try to upsell them. And last is our coverage is second to none. So while there are other sports and entertainment groups out there, our coverage is second to none. All of the United States, Canada, Mexico, and even some international. So my brother, take us out of here. Remember that. Check us out on our next one. Thank you, guys.
Man, 100%. And I think, since you popped it up there, Jason, let's just, for anybody who's watching, wants to take a screenshot of that, there they are. You can check out those 4 pillars, add them to what you do. Again, if you're with KWSE, memorize them. If you're not, and you're with any other brokerage or whatever, we just want to help our athletes and entertainers at a high quality and be the resource for you guys to take them there. And these are the core principles that you can find at kellerwilliamsse.com. And that will walk you through all of that for everybody. Well, man, we have had an awesome time here on the Sellout Crowd. Make sure you guys like and subscribe and share. That's the best way. If you want the best info to continue on, you got to share it with other people. Let's get more people on this episode. And until next time, we will see you, Paul and Jason, out Sellout Crowd. Let's do it.